the best of dentistry is yet to come. Dentistry is still evolving into its golden age, in my humble opinion. So for the pessimistic people out there, don't be like that, because the best is ahead of us for sure. And I want to try to prove it. And 3, 2, 1, and we are back with Coffee Break with Coachman. One more special episode with my dear friend, Kirk Behrendt. And today he gave me a very cool suggestion. What are we going to do today, Kirk? Just explain briefly.
We're going to mix it up today. We're going to talk about the 3 most important issues that, at least on our side of things, we hear dentists ask us about, and we're going to bring you answers. So we're going to present it almost like 1 question, 2 answers. Christian, thanks for being back, brother.
Pleasure to be back. Let's go. I like this model. Let's generate some debate here.
Absolutely. Now, for the listener, I'm going to give you 3 questions in advance. The first one is like, what's the current state and future of dentistry? Because some people out there think dentistry, the future doesn't look that great. That's going to be question number 1. Question number 2 is, everyone's busy and their focus is everywhere. So the question will be for both of us, if you're a dentist listening, what would you focus on today? And lastly, we're going to be challenged with defining balance and what that actually means. Can you really find balance as a dentist? So let's go back to question number 1. Christian, you're going to go first. You just came back from a trip. You hear this from dentists all the time. I don't know if dentistry is that great. To give us the current state of dentistry and what you think the future of dentistry looks like from your perspective.
First thought for me is that the best of dentistry is yet to come. Dentistry is still evolving into its golden age, in my humble opinion. So for the pessimistic people out there, don't be like that, because the best is ahead of us for sure. And I want to try to prove it. If we try to analyze the history of dentistry, from 100 years ago, what we were doing at that time, and the evolution into the specialties and the early days of multidisciplinary dentistry, then the early days of interdisciplinary dentistry in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, maturing the concept of interdisciplinary care and integrating with technology, better interdisciplinary treatments and execution, team practices appearing, people working in collaboration, post-grad programs where you have ortho and perio surgery, surgery, prosto, so it is a natural evolution of dentistry. But if you think about all these phases that we had in dentistry till today, we still didn't address properly the number 1 most important piece of dentistry. And that is the moment when dentistry is going to create the link, the oral systemic link. So we are not, we are just starting to talk about it. We are just starting to see people wanting to explore more. And what makes me very excited is that from the few late meetings that I had recently, not with dentists, but with some of the most important dental CEOs, pioneers, entrepreneurs, investors, DSO, founders and owners, extremely powerful people, the ones that really move the needle. They are all super excited and aligned in something extremely ethical and extremely cool, that is investing in this path of making dentistry a health profession, making dentistry move away from superficial cosmetics, making dentistry move away from reactive, conventional, interventionist, invasive treatments. So can you imagine the most powerful people starting to talk about how to do less invasive treatments, how to understand the biological functional link between the mouth and the body, And in my view, this is the beautiful movement of making dentistry less reactive and more proactive towards longevity, prevention, and systemic health. That's the moment when dentistry will be finally respected as it should from the medical world and will be integrated into the medical world, and we will be all at the same level. That's the moment where every good physician in the world will consistently refer their patients into dentists, into health dentists, into health dental experts to complement their examination and the acquisition of data and information about that human being. It's crazy to think that today, if you go to a physician with a chronic disease, with a health problem, a serious problem, there's absolutely no link, almost zero link between the physician even considering that there's something in the mouth that is affecting the body, and vice versa. The patient comes to the dentist and has issues that are the result of this connection. And 99.9% of the time, dentists will not even explore further this connection. So why I think this is so big? First, because it's so obvious. It's obvious that we have to go there, right? The fact that we are just at the beginning creates huge opportunities. The fact that the extreme powerful people in dentistry, the financial people in dentistry, already saw this and are already moving into this means that in probably a decade, dentistry will be doing much better for humans in general. Will be helping people in a much more comprehensive way. So for me, and when I say comprehensive, until yesterday, our definition of comprehensive was integrating perio, pros, implants, ortho. That is not anymore the definition of comprehensive dentistry. You need to understand the oral environment connection with airway, and airway with sleep quality, and sleep quality with general health. We need to be much more aware about extra testings that we need to do on first appointments, saliva testing that is growing tremendously, that we can learn so much about our patients, blood testing, vitamin D impact on what we do, what chronic infection and inflammation that is symptomatic and people are not seeing, not complaining today. And this is little by little destroying people's health long term. Very few people are talking about it. And it's everything in the mouth, right? Everything is there. And the huge opportunity for dentists is the fact that I think the number was I have to get the number, but I think around 70% of people in US see more than their dentist than their physician. The number is huge. We have in the mouth an entity that represents so much that happens all over the body. We have this relationship with our patients and this opportunity to be seeing them over and over again. We have these technologies and these tools to expand our know-how about their general health. And the mouth is in a geographic position in the body that is so close to the brain, so close to the heart, that whatever you do good here has a super fast, great impact in the rest. And everything that is bad here has a super fast, big impact in the rest as well. So every other month we see new research showing the link of issues in the mouth and the connection with the body. And this is for me huge opportunity. So when I look at this, for me, I smile to myself. I say, just imagine the next 5 to 10 years all the great passionate dentists, ethical dentists, putting their passion to move in this direction and reinvent modern dentistry.
I love it. I have so many thoughts on what you just said, and I'll try to add context to it and chime in, please. But if you're a young dentist listening, this is why you have to get into your tribe. You have to find a tribe. You have to find a group of people that you can listen to. Christian, very much like you, very much like the reason the passion exists, even at this stage in 30 years of the game, is that early on, I was around learners, people that are like learning. And so learning became a thirst, and it still is to this day. And doing so, it also created a passion. I'm going to piggyback so much on what you said. I think the ultimate thing, if you're a dentist, how we see ourselves is it has a great deal with how the world sees us. And so positioning yourself in the future, I agree, there's never been a better time to be a dentist. In the future, there will be people that fix teeth and there will be people that change lives. It's not the same business. So you have to pick which business are you in as a dentist. And I think it's going to get tougher. I'm often wrong with my predictions, but my predictions about physicians in the future is it's going to be really hard to be a physician. There won't be enough pay. There will be more AI. It will be long hours. It will be many patients. It won't be enough time with human beings. And thus, the transition in the world will turn naturally to more people who guard, who are the guards of like how people are healthy, which is our oral health.
We will move into finally, medicine in general. It makes no sense the way it works today. It makes no sense to prevent instead of having to spend so much fixing the issues afterwards. I had a friend telling me a story that I think it's super cool. He made a comparison about the definition of dentistry and even the best dentists in the world that, it doesn't matter if you are a cosmetic dentist or a interdisciplinary dentist. We are all doing what I call reactive dentistry, right? We are allowing many, many problems to happen to then show off how amazing we are, to deliver amazing surgeries and amazing prostheses and amazing new smiles. And of course, as I always say, there's space for everybody. But it's pretty obvious that we need to grow the proactive side of healthcare, meaning helping people not to have a problem, right? So the story is that imagine a physician that claims to be the expert on diabetes. Okay. I'm the guy. I'm so good with diabetes. I know everything. I'm the best doctor on diabetes. But this doctor, what he does is actually he allows the patients to evolve into the disease until the point that they are losing their limbs through diabetes, right? And you know that this is one of the bad consequences of diabetes. So then this doctor comes in when you don't have any more time to reverse the problem. And this doctor does amazing, precise amputations and delivers amazing, beautiful prosthesis and brags to all the colleagues, you cannot imagine how good I am. Last year, I did 1,500 amputations and prosthesis to my patients. I'm an amazing diabetes expert. And when this friend was telling me this story in my hand, I was like, this is us. This is the dentist. That's what we do. Do you see dentists bragging about how many treatments they avoided? Bragging about how much prevention they did, how many patients they have that don't need to do anything, right? No, we see dentists bragging, I did 2,000 implants last year. I did 500 veneers last year. I did this, I did that. Everything is interventionist, curative, invasive, palliative, is treating the consequence, not caring about the cause. Immediate satisfaction and starting a harmful death cycle of the tooth. That's what we do in dentistry. And we are proud, we brag about it. Now, don't get me wrong. even in the ideal world where proactive health dentistry will become 90% of dentistry, of course, that you will still have cosmetic dentistry to enhance smiles of people that are already healthy. And because of vanity, they want to become even more beautiful. No problem with that. And you will need amazing periodontists, amazing surgeons, and amazing prosthodontists to do interventionist treatments in the exception cases where either the patient wants it or there was an accident or the patient for some reason didn't really, it's on the exception that really didn't take care, didn't follow through, didn't commit to taking care of themselves, and then they need a reactive treatment. But we need to invert, we need to flip the whole thing. This needs to be the exception, not the rule. The rule needs to be healthcare dentistry, proactive care, longevity, prevention, and systemic health.
I totally agree. That could be an entire episode right there. So let's introduce part B of question 1, the business of dentistry. And so I'm going to add a few thoughts, and I want you to comment on this, because a dentist might be listening to this going, Christian, I totally understand. That is such a big way to think about it. And I love it. I actually completely support that. A dentist might be listening to this going, Christian, you don't understand. Like, it's hard to find team members. Insurance is killing my practice. It's very expensive to be a dentist now. I have $1 million of debt. I'm here to tell you this. I would also say the same thing about the business. There's never been a more exciting time to be a dentist. And here's why. If you stay focused, I want you to think about this. If you're a dentist, you have freedom of choice, you have freedom of meaning, you have freedom of hours, and you have freedom of income. Okay, let me say that again. Choice, meaning, hours, income. You can have all of it. You can choose how to practice. You can choose where to practice. You can choose your focus of practice. It isn't chosen for you. You have to pick and you go. Number 2, you can find a lot of meaning by helping more people in a more significant way. And I agree with you. Bob Margis said this on the show, there should be a tooth preservation fee. Like, we should have a fee for preserving tooth structure. Like,
there is market for that. There is market for that. And medicine is proving that more and more being a doctor of longevity, of forecasting prevention, and avoiding problems is a great business.
Yeah, it's a wonderful business. And you do it well, you know what happens? You get more people that want you to do it well for them. It happens like that all the time. So you might be overwhelmed as a dentist, but I'm here to tell you, when you have freedom of choice and you move confidently to practice the way you want to, which means you will have to move away from insurance in some respect, because when you move heavily into insurance, you're working with someone else's rules, and it not only steals your money, but it steals your joy. Now someone is telling you how to treat someone. But I live in the United States. You get a chance to travel the world. This world offers us the ability to practice however we choose. You can listen to this podcast and go, I'm done. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm going to go to DSD. I'm going to learn how to do that. I'm going to go to the Kois thing. I'm going to figure out how I practice, and nothing stops you, right, Christian?
I think that, as I mentioned, if DSOs are looking into this new story and saying that this is a huge opportunity and they want to move there because it's more meaningful, it's more ethical, and it's a good business as well. Doing the right thing can be a good business in dentistry. It just requires a little bit of a lot more effort at the beginning to build your new story, your new reputation, your new business model. How do you make money doing the right thing for the patient? How do you make money focusing on longevity? As Bob Margis say, how do you make money? You charge a preservation fee. What do you want to pay? You want to pay more for a fake smile than paying for preserving your beautiful smile? It makes absolutely no sense, right? It makes no sense. And people need to think a little bit more long term. Nowadays we are living more. We're going to live more than 100 years. We will live more than 100 years. Imagine your teeth. If you start prepping your teeth at 20 to put 10 veneers, you have no clue how much you're going to regret down the line. You're going to regret so bad, right? And so preservation is the key. long-term planning is the key, and this is a huge business opportunity for dentists to reposition themselves, to rebrand themselves. People will come. I'm saying it because I know dentists that are shifting their whole business from conventional interventionist procedures into this whole mindset of systemic health, oral health, longevity, and preservation. Once you shift, people start to come. You have no idea how much, and usually the people with more money are the ones that value this idea the most, right? So if you want to differentiate yourself in your area, in the US, for example, there's people with money everywhere. There's no excuse. Everywhere. You know, the US as a country has never been so rich in general. Everywhere there's money, and everywhere people want to live longer. Oral health is more linked to longevity than absolutely any other thing that you can imagine. Totally linked. And this world will explode. This world will explode. And all you need to do is to start exploring this world, because since 99.9 is doing nothing, whatever you do, you are already way above average. You are already different. And if you start telling this story, another thing that is huge business opportunity is to create a network of physicians that start to refer patients to you. This is already happening. Very few, very, very few dentists are doing it, but they are killing it. Because as soon as they create a package of oral systemic analysis, and they start doing a few things to connect the dots, and they start to explain to physicians in their neighborhood, in their city, many physicians are starting to open their mind. And they know that to complement their diagnosis, to complement their analysis, they need to work together with the dentist. And we have these few dentists that are now almost 100% referrals from physicians. Can you imagine? And that's going to be the future. Dentists will work and get a lot of referrals from physicians to complement their work, not the opposite. The opposite will happen as well, right? Because the opposite was kind of more natural. If we saw something that we didn't know much, we said, oh, you need to look for a physician. The opposite will happen. And this is going to be amazing.
Amen, brother. I completely agree. And you don't need every patient in the world to build a practice like Christian is talking about. In the US, you have one dentist, it's about 1,200 patients. So if you're going to practice for 3 decades, all you have to do is stay focused on who you are, what you do best, and build an amazing patient base of that many patients. Now, you could extrapolate that if you have other doctors. And it's wonderful. There's 331 million people in the United States. You don't need all of them. You just need a handful of them that want what you provide. Question number 2, Christian, I love this format. Okay, I get it. I'm a dentist listening this. On Tuesday, September 17th, 2024, what would you tell dentists? I have 2 tips or 3 tips for you. Focus on these things, a few of them. Do you want to go first? Or do you want me to go first? Okay, I'll go first on this because this is our whole company core purpose. So I would say it's 3 things. I think as a dentist, whether your business model is one thing or another, ultimately it comes down to 3 things: aligned, smart, healthy. I'm going to encourage you to write that down. If I had a family, I do have a family, the same thing would apply. I would get everyone aligned around who we are, where we're going, how we behave, how we work, what this is all about, the purpose of what we're doing, and that's getting everyone aligned. Aligned and agreement are not the same thing. Christian, if you and I work together every day, we don't have to agree, but we do have to align on why we do what we do. The purpose of consensus. Consensus is terrible. We don't need consensus. We need alignment around power and purpose and what we're doing and how we run our days. And you know this, any crack in alignment between leaders, it blinds team members. And so when you have alignment, that's great. So I would spend your time aligning. If you are a dentist listening to this and you go, I don't have time to align with my leaders, that's silly. The most important meeting I have all week are with my leaders because I want my leaders to grow other leaders, and we don't have to agree, but we do have to be aligned. That's number 1. 2 is to be smart. Pick a business model that works, like organize the work, have accountability, What are the best practices? Like as digital comes into the world, which pieces do we use? How do we organize our days? Is it good to be inside of insurance, outside of insurance? What should our fees be? How should I work? It's not good for me to work in the evening because I don't provide good work. Well, we're not going to work in the evening. Don't work. I have kids. I don't want to work on Saturdays. Don't do that. What's really cool is if you are smart about your business, you will create value. People will come in the hours that you work. They will go, I want you. They like scarcity. The best restaurants in the world have few tables. The same principle applies to you. You are inviting people to your business. So be smart about it. And then the third piece I would say is like spend every day thinking about how do I make this place more healthy? How do I get the right people in the right seats? How do I improve my culture? Instead of once a year taking them shopping or bowling or having a big Christmas party to make people feel good, on the ground, every day, how do you check in with team members? How do you, talk about the value of the work? I do the same thing. I'll give you a hack here. I do the same thing every day. I walk in and I go from left to right to every office. Hey, what's going on? How are you? What's going on? How was the game yesterday? How's your daughter? What'd you do? How was the softball game last night? Because I want people to know I care. What you do either screams you care or you don't care. So my answer would be spend every day getting more aligned. How do we be smarter and how do we be healthier? And I'll leave with one last thought. You spend 30% of your life working, 30% of your entire life. Why not enjoy it? And you don't enjoy it when one of these three is broken. So those are my thoughts. Christian, what would you tell people to focus on? Anything you would add or different?
I think I would start with focusing on yourself. First thing you need to do is, that I know it sounds cliche, on the airplane, say first put the mask on you before you put the mask on others, that whole blah, blah, blah that people say. But it's actually very profound. It means that if you don't feel that alignment with yourself, so it is an alignment, but it is an alignment with yourself. First of all, it's you having that moment with yourself, usually, early morning, to look at yourself and have that feeling that it's not easy, but I'm doing good. I know who I am. I know what I want, and I know where I'm going, and I know the next steps, and I know what I'm going to do today towards that plan, right? So having that beautiful relationship with yourself. It sounds very obvious. It sounds idealistic or whatever. And it's easy to say, not easy to actually feel it and have it. And you need to start that conversation with yourself.
Yeah. Can I add one thing? Because you helped me, listeners, I'm going to ask you to go back to the episode where we actually asked Christian to take a part of his day. Now, I want to tell you this. I mentioned this before. You actually helped me because the way you organize your day with your sleep, then you have family time in the morning, and then you give yourself permission to be at the gym for 2 hours. I'm like, 2 hours? You said, yes, 2 hours. Then I work. I was like, oh, I'm totally doing it. It was the next morning. I said, I'm doing 2 hours. I don't care what's going on. Now, my family time is in the evening, but you're right. There was so much power in your message. And so I completely agree. When you take care of yourself, you're better for those that you care for. Keep going.
So be extremely kind, but not soft with yourself. Don't be soft on yourself. Be kind, but be serious when you're talking to yourself, right? So that's for me, everything starts there on that daily conversation with yourself, and you need that moment, and that will determine everything, because you're going to start improving your relationship with yourself. You're going to start understanding yourself better. You're going to start to control yourself in tough situations better because you know yourself better. You're going to start overcoming tough relationships better because you know yourself better. And that brings us to my second suggestion, that is, use that improvement on the relationship with yourself to build a better vision. So my second thing is the vision. So make sure you have a clear vision of where you want to be. And I usually use the 5-year example. And ask yourself this question and see if you have a clear answer that you can immediately give without having to think too much. If not, it means you need to practice that. It may change, it may evolve. So you need to from time to time revisit this vision. But that would be my second insight. After you have this deep conversation, daily conversation with yourself, make sure that you have a very clear vision of where you want to be. And then my third insight is define who do you want to attract, what type of people you want to attract, right? And that's also interesting exercise because as team members and as patients, in marketing, they do the exercise. They say, look, if you don't have define your buyer persona, you will go nowhere. You need to make this exercise of what type of possible clients you want to attract. And the whole business model, all the strategies, services, and experiences will be designed to be the best for that specific persona or that character that you build. So my suggestion is, when you have a vision of where you want to be, you need to be then very humble and smart about asking yourself, what are the skills that I have to be there, and what are the skills that I don't? What can I do myself, and the things that I cannot do myself? What are the things that I can become good, and what are the things that I will not become good, or it's going to be harder? Because that's when you start to realize the type of people you need to attract to complement you, right? To get to that goal. So as a practice owner, if you imagine that perfect future in 5 years of the perfect environment practice that you want to have, from infrastructure, technologies, team, location, ambience, services, experience, everything great, then be very pragmatic. What are my toolbox to make that happen? What do I know? What do I need to know? And you're going to see that maybe you probably have 1/3 of the things that you need, that 1/3 of the things that you need to get there. So you have two choices. You're going to learn all the other things besides being a dentist, right? Besides running your practice today, you need to go out there and learn everything else that is required to be where you want to be, or you're going to partner up. You're going to attract the right people. So as soon as you see your blind spots and your deficiencies, technically speaking, you start to build this character. I want to have somebody by my side. If it's a partner, associate, assistant, manager, whatever, investor, I want to have a person or two or three, I don't know, that can fulfill these bullet points here that I'm not good at, that I know I need. And then you need to think in terms of the personality, what type of person you want to be with. And it's funny because by building this image in your mind, you start to identify these things in other people. You start to realize, oh my God, I was about to hire this person. This person is not the person from my exercise, period. Don't try to imagine, oh, maybe perhaps, he may change, she may change, or maybe there's other qualities. Be very pragmatic when it comes to identifying and attracting the right people. And for that, you need to build that vision, not only the vision of your business, but the vision of who you want to attract. Do that with your partners, because if you are ambitious, you probably need partners to get what you want, where you want to be. Do the same exercise with staff, team building. Create the vision, create the characters, and the universe will bring them to you. and build that with the patients, what type of patients you want to attract. And that brings back to the number one, when I said about moving into health dentistry, in this new way of dentistry, you start to imagine what type of patients would love this. And by doing this exercise and becoming very good understanding this type of people, you will naturally start to attract these people.
Yeah, totally agree. And very well said. And I'm here to say that absolutely happens once you make those decisions. Christian, you're going to go first on question number 3. You travel all over the world. You get to meet dentists everywhere. You hear things like, I need more balance in my life. I'm in search of balance. Is balance attainable?
Depends on the definition. And the definition, but depends on what you will define balance is for yourself. I think balance, if balance is health and happiness, because that should be the outcome of balance, whatever balance is. The balance is not the outcome. Balance is not the goal. Balance is the mean, right? The goal is to be healthy and happy, right? If the goal is to be happy and healthy, balance is whatever it takes to get there every single day. So then my definition of balance changes. So if you think that balance is working certain hours, being with family certain hours, and doing exercise certain hours, and have that framework and keeping that very solid, I don't think that's attainable. I don't think that that even brings health and happiness, because our life is crazy and so many things happen, and you have different moments with different goals. You have big passions, but you have, I believe, little passions that you wake up one day and you say, I feel like doing this. I want to do this a little bit more than I usually do. I want to put a little bit more energy in this project. I want to write this article today and tomorrow. I want to read this book this weekend. And then you spend like 10 hours in the weekend reading the book, and you're super happy. And you're like, oh, that's not balance. You forgot this, this, and this. You're wrong. I said, no, you're not wrong. So that's what I told you, before we went live. For me, balance, the best way to ask yourself and say, was I balanced today? Is to ask yourself, did I do what I promised myself I would do today? Did I follow my plan? Because we are usually much better building plans than executing the plans. Much better, right? So 1st of January, the year begins. We know that, you sit down and say, no, to this year, I'm going to kill it. This year, I'm going to fix my problems. This year, I'm going to get healthy. And many times we sit down with a piece of paper and you write your plan. And usually that plan is very, very good, right? When we plan our week, we usually do a good job. We say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to achieve this. I'm going to finish this task. I'm going to solve this problem. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to be humble enough to go and mention this to this person and apologize for that. And then the week goes by, and many times we don't do what we promised ourselves. And for me, this is one of the biggest mistakes that brings us to this negative spiral going down. We say we're going to do something to ourselves, not to anybody else. We don't do it. We get angry to ourselves. Then we find excuses. Then we create stories in our mind to justify it. Then we do another plan. Then we don't follow the plan. We don't deliver. Then we are mad at ourselves. Then to live with ourselves, we find excuses. And then we create stories in our mind why we didn't do it. Then we blame others. Then we do new plans, and then we don't follow the plans again. So I heard that a coach, I know we have so many coaches nowadays, but I heard a guy speaking, and he said this, that the biggest favor you can do to yourself is to do what you promised yourself you were going to do, right? Showing that accountability to yourself, and you know that, right? When you say, I'm gonna wake up 5 a.m. and exercise, and then you don't want, but then you end up going and you do the exercise and you finish that 1 hour, and then you do it even better than you expected, and you're walking back home by yourself and you're like, yes, yes, right? That feeling. So for me, that is balance. That balance for me is giving time to plan your week, being very reasonable and very effective on determining what you're going to do that week, and then just fucking doing it.
I love it. You're putting the flag in the ground and the exclamation point on that. I love it. I'll just piggyback on what you said. I completely agree. If you're watching the video version of this, I do this every day. Shout out to Jenny on my team. So I come in, I have this spiral notebook, and she said, Kirk, you can't focus on everything. What are the 6 most important things you can do to keep your promises to yourself today that move the needle for your life and your company? And then I have a list of others. So I often fill the others first. I got to do this. I got to call this person. And then I stop and reflect. I'm like, okay, there's only a few, because you think about this. I used to create a list, Christian, I don't know if you did this, but I used to create a long list of an entire page of things. It was my to-do list. And now I've learned this is my to-be list. You know what I mean? Like and some of these are hard. They're big, big items like thinking and get the thinking. But you'll find if you focus on, and I never, ever cross out all 6. Never. I've never crossed out all 6, but I might get 3 in a day. One day a month, I'll get 4, never get 6. And then one day a year, I'll get 5 of them. And I'm like, wow, that was an incredible day. And the ROI on those efforts are huge. So my question to you is, what's the most important thing you can do to keep your promises today or this week? I want to add just on balance too, because you and I talked about this before we had to go. This is a big word. People use this word a lot. And I'm 54 now, so I'll just give you my opinion today. I've asked Michael Cohen this question several times. You and I have talked about it. Most of the people I've ever known and respected in dentistry, they all say the same thing. Balance is not attainable. It goes back to what you said, though, Christian. How do you define balance? When people say they're searching for balance, I often find that they really don't want balance. They want a better life, because if you're listening to this, you care about your work. Like you, Christian, I'm not one of those clock in, clock out. Work is not a job for me. It's a calling. It's a responsibility. So it's hard to say, I only think about work in this. But I think that's one thing is like, what do you really mean? Now, first thing, I don't think balance is attainable. And let me explain how it works for me. I just think about the big things. Like the big things for me are I need 7 hours of sleep. I need to exercise. I now exercise 2 hours a day. Thank you to you. I need dinners with my family are like the most important part of my day. And that comes later in the day, but it's non-negotiable in my house. We do roses and thorns. Whether you're 23 or 16, you're going to give me your favorite thing and then the worst thing of your day. And we're all going to listen. And that's it. And then everything else, I'll just chase it as we need and get it done. But I feel like if you get the big things in, you don't feel a lot of regret. I heard somebody say this a long time ago, take care of the moments and then the years take care of themselves. And for me, moments are dinner. It's like what you said, like getting up. I now do hot yoga in the morning. I never thought I would like that. I actually look forward to it. I stand in the back because I fall over a lot, but like it's these moments that you're like, oh, it's good to be alive. And then I do think at some point work has to be in a container. While I love work, I love what I do. You can't get a hold of me on a Saturday. You can't get a hold of me. Those are my personal rules. In the evening, I won't return your phone call, like it. And I think that's okay. It's okay to do that. And then lastly, at the end of the day, as you get older, you get on the back 9 of this golf course that we play, you start to think about meaning. And for me, I heard somebody else say this, legacy is not a what, it's a who. When you really look at your legacy, it's like, who did you impact? It was your son, it was your family, it was your wife, it was your daughters, it was your leaders. It's like the who is more important than what did I build and how did I lead. I think by doing that, the world will always be better, but you're going to leave a who behind you, not a what. Anything you would add just on the balance thing, Christian?
Yeah, I think that the big blocks, routine plays a huge uh, uh, has a huge impact on balance. So, keeping a structure without going crazy and sometimes, breaking the rules, etc. But the more you have a routine, the more you naturally want to keep it. So that's something I learned because I was not never into routines, and that transformed my life. And you know, as I said, when you define what you're gonna do in the wake, you usually are very good at understanding what makes you happy. What usually messes up balance is the immediate decision. Somebody calls you and you say, "Oh, you know what? I'm gonna do this meeting now." And you're like breaking your plan, say, "I've promised that I was gonna stop now and do something else." Or when you go into social media and you shouldn't, or when you turn your notifications and start answering messages, or when you, as a dentist, you accept an extra patient just to make an extra money that day, when you promised yourself, I'm not going to do this because it's not worth it. The patient can wait a few more days. I'm not going to squeeze this patient, and then you see that thing happening and you give into it, right? You end up accepting something that was not part of your what you promised yourself. So it's back to really realizing that even unconsciously, every time you tell yourself you're going to do something and you end up doing something different, even though you can try to say, yeah, whatever, I'm just going to do this now. I know, 2 days ago I said I was going to do different. I believe that this is an internal sabotage that has an impact, a negative impact on ourselves that we cannot imagine. Think about yourself as two persons, two friends, very, 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 very good friends. And you on Sunday planning your week was one friend, and you on Wednesday breaking that rule was the other friend. Yeah, whatever. He's my friend. He will understand. And the other friend is like, damn, man, you promised me. You were coming home at 7 and I was waiting for you. So you were waiting for yourself and you let yourself down, right? And we do that all the time. And for me, balance means that more and more we are not letting ourselves down, and we are listening to ourselves, listening to the pre-plan that we did, and being consistent
Yeah.
with it.
Don't you think when you do exactly what you're talking about, you don't let yourself down, you keep your promises, you tell yourself a better story about
You,
yourself?
it's pride. You're proud, right? Not in an arrogant way. You are proud. And when you feel good, you start smiling to yourself. When you feel good about yourself, you smile in a confident way, in a humble, confident way. You don't need to show off. You're just solid, right? You are happy alone. You're smiling to yourself. You're strong because you don't let yourself down and you don't sabotage your own plans. It's not about the others. We know that our biggest enemy is ourself, period. Another cliche sentence. Blah, blah, blah. Our biggest enemy. It is. That's so obvious. Our biggest enemy is ourself. So we need to fight. We have these two friends. We need not to let one friend throw the other one under the bus.
I love this. Christian, thanks for playing one question, two answers. We can make this a regular segment. I love it. We could turn this into clinical. We could turn this into vision. So give us some final thoughts before we wrap up on what we've discussed today.
I think first, the golden age of dentistry is yet to come. Um, this new perspective of dentistry starting to really take care of systemic health, really creating the focus on longevity. Super excited that key people in the industry are pushing this new vision. So all I can tell you is that it's going to happen. So the question is, do you want to ride this wave or not? Do you want to be on the forefront of this movement or not? Because this, for me, is the best definition of meaningful dentistry at its max, with the best combination of doing the right thing and making good money.
So well said, brother. I don't know how I say anything more than that, other than I think if you listen carefully to what we've shared with you, and our goal here again is just to share some thoughts. As a dentist or as a human being, I think if you can confidently say your best years are in front of you, you're good. When your best years have officially passed you, now you're just managing the end, and that's no fun to be around you. So you have to play this game of like, how do I always keep my best in front of me at no matter what age? I hope at 75, I still say my best
That's a
years.
good philosophy, huh? That's a great philosophy, because and that came to my mind very strong when I hit 50, because of symbolic 50, half a century, whatever. Many friends, playing, okay, Christian, that's halftime. Now you're entering the second half, and the second half is, if you go up first half, you go down the second half, blah, blah, blah. So you have that sensation, that real feeling that physically, mentally, professionally, in terms of excitement, that everything was better in the past than will be in the future. But at the same time, we know that that's not true. Absolutely not true. I don't feel like that. And we need to generate a process where we are constantly asking ourselves, if I'm feeling down, what do I need to do to make the next few years better than the last few years, right? It needs to be better. We need to do so, and it doesn't mean money. It doesn't mean complexity, sophistication. It's all in here. It's all your attitude and your mindset, right? Maybe you invented something huge and you made a lot of money when you were 40. Of course, I'm not saying that you need to do even more or invent something even more important. No, that's not the type of importance that I believe you're saying, you're talking, and I'm talking. It's about you looking the next few years and smiling to yourself. Gosh, I'm looking forward. This is going to be better than ever.
Love it. Awesome, brother. That was fantastic. I really enjoyed that. So stick around while we say goodbye to everybody else. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for listening. I don't know how this is working. I don't even care. But the podcast continues to grow all over the world. And we're going to keep bringing great thoughts, great frameworks, things that you can listen to on a regular basis to help you improve your mindset, your life, your health, your practice. So keep showing up. We're going to keep bringing it.